right, here we are.
How we doing?
Yeah, we're doing great. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks, Andrew, for having us today.
Yeah, Uppercut.
That's it.
So, Dylan, and sorry, I've forgotten
Sam.
Sam.
Very difficult name.
Yeah, it is a very typical name. So, oh shit, hang on. So tell me how Uppercut kind of came about.
Well,
It was Sam's idea actually,
Yeah.
and he would love to tell you that.
I've been in various bands over the years, and my brother and myself, we've grown up playing together. He's a
Yeah.
guitarist, he's in the band,
Yeah.
and I'm the bass player. So we wanted a band where we wanted to rock out our music,
Yeah.
right? And I was in another band where I met Dylan, as a guitarist and backing vocalist on this band called the Victims Ball.
Yeah.
And I really liked his style. I liked his energy and
Yeah.
his vocals. And I got together with my brother and said, "Well, let's start up a new band, right? Because we've been doing all this other stuff over the years." And we came up with the name Uppercut. So we got Dylan involved. We had already had a catalogue of music already pre-written, and we had a drummer who's also played with us over time. And we got together. Dylan slotted in. He had already some vocals, some lyrics already pre-written, and he just sort of fitted in, and it just happened. And from there on, we put some songs down, and we started to record them, and we started to, set a path for Uppercut.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It definitely, with the people, the artists that I've met, this thing about having like energy between each band member to create this synergy of like frequency,
Yes.
and like be able to work together and harmonize everything is really important.
I guess that's one of our strengths. If you take us individually, we might not necessarily be. I'm Paganini and he's Pavarotti, and the other one is Steve Ray Vaughan.
Pavarotti.
That's right. I'm Italian. Can you tell?
No.
He's an import.
Yes. Came out here 10 years ago.
Right.
10 years ago.
Okay. We'll get into that.
We'll
but
get into that.
Continue your story.
But I can really tell when we play together, we feed off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really enjoyed from the beginning. I feel that if I really got to do a music project now, anything music related is going to worth something. It's going to bring me to the next level. It's going to bring the music to the next level.
Yeah.
And Uppercut does that for us.
Yeah. It's something that I've thought about over the last couple of months. Like, energy is so important because it kind of brings everything together, but energy also doesn't lie either. You can pick up, if you're in tune with energy and you can feel it, like you can pick up when something's not right, or you can pick up when something's really good. And if it's really good, then you continue going with it.
And you see, I agree with what you're saying, Andrew. And I believe that energy is that language that even if you don't necessarily dig the style of music, or you're not into music, you still perceive it. You feel it. You can feel, I do believe that listeners from the outside, if a band is not performing properly, they might not be able to tell who's not doing the right thing, but they might be able to tell, it sounded all right. It sounded something. But when there is the right energy, they're going to tell that was good.
Yeah.
It might not have been what I normally listen to, but that was good. And this is what we do. This is something that people will soon realize as soon as we play live.
Well, with Uppercut, definitely we have a raw presence and energy. And during the process of recording and doing the videos, we play like we are, true to ourselves. And from that, you could see that we have a natural power in our playing and our presence. So when we released our first video clip, it was only about 3 weeks ago now, it's had 50,000 views. But when you look at it, it's just a band like it's playing live.
Yeah.
And the feedback that we got of people was that you could feel the band and what we were projecting.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you test the waters. But we knew we had something special when we were writing your music, and the power, like Dylan was saying, he could feel it, right? But until you put it out there, recording-wise and visually, you don't really know. So I think we've got a good chemistry. It's a good balance of musicians. And I think we're onto something where I believe with the local music scene, it's lacking that at the moment. People are wanting this stage presence and energy. And
why do you think that is?
I just think we come from a lot of different backgrounds of music, and I've been around the traps. And what it is with the newer musicians, they're at a different level. They don't go out of the way to present themselves properly or actually coordinate a show and play the instrument like a rocker or a jazz player. They just, a lot of these bands, they look like they just walked out of the office and they start playing. You got to give something to the people visually and musically so they can feed off.
Do you think it's because of the time period that we're in right now, in terms of things being done so quickly and like, for example, like with the advancements of technology and social media and yada, 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 you don't need to have like a recording agency and all of this. You could just like do it at home. But then the pitfall of that is that people don't necessarily put all of the effort in to like
100%. The devices that we have and have taken away the soul out of musicians and from performers.
That's a good way of explaining it. Yeah.
So where we come from experience and playing and done those hard yards, where this generation of musicians haven't got that experience or understand how to deliver that. And that's the difference now. And it's just easier now to do that.
Do you think though that it even though we talk about that element, that there is like, it's at least giving them an opportunity to try something?
I actually agree that it's great these days that people can do what they want. And to be fair with you, I'm not even in my 30s, so I'm probably still within that generation. Okay, but you can't expect that just because you can do it, then it's gonna work. And unfortunately, we try to sugarcoat criticism to people these days, and that's something that fairly where I grew up, that was never the case. It was always blunt truth, and if something didn't work, it wasn't done right, your bandmates were the first people to tell you, and the people in the crowd at the end of the show, they were gonna tell you too. And then
I think that still happens today.
It still happens today, but to different degrees.
But then even you get like strangers telling you like as well, like online, right? That there's no holding back for criticism, because you can just put like an image of something else and hide your face and hide behind a fake name or whatever,
Totally. So social media are unfortunately something that kind of shield some people from, you really got something to say, just say it in my face.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even when we are face to face, say in the example of playing a show, like we were saying before, not everyone will go to the artist and say, at least in Australia, will go to the artist and say, I felt your performance was not that interesting, not that impressive. I felt you could have done this. I felt you could have brought that.
Is that because you think that the Australian public or audiences are too conservative?
Probably. I feel it's a bit of a Anglo-Australian
Yeah,
mentality.
and they don't want to offend.
They don't want to offend,
Mm.
which I understand that in different situations. However, you need to feel disappointment sometimes, because just from that,
Failure
just from that, you can improve. You're not going to improve if someone tells you, it was good. You just have to be told,
Yeah.
you play like shit. You don't remember the lyrics. You were out of pitch. Your drummer couldn't keep the tempo to save his life. Or the guitar was out of tune too. Go back in the rehearsal place and work hard. And that was something that when I was 15 and I started my career back in Italy as a drummer, and I would be doing backing vocals every now and then, and I had people telling me, yeah, maybe learn the lyrics. Like, oh, wow, really?
Kind of a key element to a song.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I would have never thought that. I have to
Yeah.
learn the lyrics.
Yeah.
Right, okay. But yeah, we got to be honest with each other.
What because you've got quite a few band members and through like all walks of life, what type of music would you say Uppercut produces?
Uppercut's basic roots is Aussie style.
Yep.
It's Aussie. The Aussie music scene has a certain flavour, a certain tone and style. And we come from that background, and that's where I think we sit with the current song, but that's out now, but that's sort of moving too. But it's basically Australian, what you have.
If I gotta tell you just one word to describe our style, is called newer metal, which is from my perspective, a non-Aussie person is a mix between punk music, rock and roll, and 90s metal.
Right.
Mix it all in once, blend it in, and this is what I hear.
So is this a new genre?
Yeah, the genre we've come up with is wow metal.
Right.
New wow, was it?
New metal.
New wow metal.
New metal.
New wow metal.
Cut that, please.
Yeah, new wow. So it's new wow metal, but yes, it's a mixture of different styles, but the sound and tone is Aussie.
Sure.
That's the difference, and that's
Sure.
what makes it different to a lot of the international sounds, and that comes from growing up with that style of music, that style of equipment and tone.
I was going to say, like, what I was going to ask, sorry, what are your influences to the style of music then?
You start, Sam.
That's me, myself, when I started when I was 14, I was right into Kiss.
When you're a whippersnipper.
Yeah, right. So I've been doing it for 50 years. So
Shit.
during
You look good for how old you are.
Yeah. So starting off with that, and that was in '74, and that was a prime time for Aussie music.
Yeah.
Right.
Hang on. I have to backtrack now a little bit. What's your secret?
My secret
Yeah.
is playing rock and roll.
Playing rock and roll.
Yeah, keeps you young, sharp, and with it. Yeah. So I've been a rocker and always a bass player from day one. So we started off with that whole sound,
Yeah.
that whole progressive period of Aussie music, and that's why myself and my brother have that sound and that style, because we grew up with all those bands during the 70s,
Yeah.
80s,
Yeah.
and 90s,
Yeah.
and 2000s. So during the time, say 1970 to 1990, Aussie music basically ruled the sound waves back then.
Yeah.
And you can always pick an Aussie band against an international band just by the sound, the playing, and the whole feel, not just the accent or just the vocals. But going back to your original question, I started off doing Kiss, then we started doing original music, right? And that sort of changed as trends sort of progressed. So my roots are Aussie rock, AC/DC, Lobby Lloyd, of course, Kiss and some of the internet. So heavy rock. Then during, say, the 80s, it got a bit more sort of punky, new romantic. Into the later 80s, a bit more funky, right? Then there was a period in the 90s, I went on the double bass and we got into the psychobilly thing. We had the Fireballs and bands like Living End that were just, they were called Runaway Boys or something. And then they went, to stardom from that. And then in the sort of early mid-2000s, I went back to my roots and we started playing more back to the good Aussie rock sort of style with a bit of a punk edge to it. And we sort of morphed to where we are now with Uppercut. Yeah.
So that just tells me that you followed your passion for music throughout your entire life and you've just engrossed yourself in it and you you were brave enough to try different things. Oh my God, this cat. Try different things and evolve and then come back and then evolve again and come back and evolve
100%.
And continually progress yourself and challenge yourself to try new things and, evolve as an artist. And that's what's kind of like kept your youth.
And when I met Dylan, because I was in the band for about 12 years called City Sharps.
Yeah.
And that was and that was for a frontman called Shane, who was one of the first punk bands in Melbourne called La Femme. And he started off in the late 70s right into the early 80s and he was on Countdown and all that sort of thing. And the City Sharps was sort of like Aussie pub rock style band. And that went for 13 years. And sometimes for that long period, you get stuck in the box. And I was approached to have a look at this band called the Victims Ball, which is like a gothic style band, yeah?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I've never done that. So I explored that option and I joined this band, still with City Sharps. And what that done opened a lot of windows for me. And I go, well, this is different. I'm exploring a different way of playing, right, and a different sound and style, and I really enjoyed that. And then I'm looking to what City Sharps was, and that's when we made the decision, you know what, we're going to have to change this up. So we shelved City Sharps, we developed Uppercut, and with the singer from City Sharps, who has that punk background, we're reforming La Femme. Right, and rewriting a whole lot of songs for that. So yes, like you said, I have taken on different types of music, and you sort of find, but everything that we spoke about combined is Uppercut.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about this band. It has all those elements and power, and having someone like Dylan with his explosive vocals is a big bonus because I've never really had a singer of that quality in a band.
Wow.
Right? So it's brought it to another level again. And just over the last 3 weeks, it goes to show that the combination chemistry is working. Yeah.
And if you've been in music for 50 years and you never seen this before, imagine the people out there.
I mean, that's massive kudos to you, right? Like, I was going to ask, like, in terms of, your experience and what you bring, like to have someone like Sam, like compliment you like that is just phenomenal with the experience that he's just explained, right?
That's absolutely right. If I had to respond to which are my inspirations, the bands that I look up to when I grew up, to be fair, I listened to lots of 90s music. I started with Kiss, actually. Just like you, Sam. But I done lots of 90s music like Korn, Rage Against the Machine. But the person that I always look up to when I grew up was my father, and is to this day a singer. And
it's not Pavarotti, is it?
It's not Pavarotti, actually. Although the look might be deceiving, but it isn't. And he was my first harsh critic in telling me, you gotta do this better.
Yeah.
You gotta work on your pitch. You gotta work on how do you sound like when you ground. And that really pushed me to the edge sometimes,
Yeah.
but for good reasons. And I feel really, really confident then when I am in a band with people that are so experienced like Sam, and they just play. And I just have to let it out. Not even have to think about it too much. Okay, this sounds like something that I can fill up with words. This sounds like something that needs power. This is something that I just might do this instead. And it just comes. And I love that.
Yeah, that's really great. What's the process that you go through to create new music?
Usually, my brother and I, we're the writers as far as the music. Well, majority of the Uppercut, but towards the end, we've sort of collaborated together and written some together. But majority of the music is we come up with the sound, the riffs, the progression. Then we put it to rehearsals. Then Dylan has to listen to it. The drummer fits in, and then we progressively write it together, and that's how it evolves. But usually, it starts with Tony and myself.
Yeah, that's
musically.
cool.
And I generally have a couple of lyrics that I use for all the drafts. And I go, okay, I use this lyric now, and let's see how the word fits.
Yeah,
and once
100%.
I have an idea of how the words will fit in it, then I write proper lyrics for the song.
Yeah. So we develop it and build it up together. So we won't say it's one person that writes a song, the lyrics and the music and everything. It's at the end, it's all four of us that bring the end product. But usually the seed is started whether Tony comes up with a riff or a melody, or myself a bass line, and then we build up from there.
I'm kind of thinking like that's such a organic way of doing it, but there are plenty of opportunities where there may be like friction between band members around.
Always.
Yeah. So how,
Always.
I guess.
so how do you go about navigating that?
That's the passion behind writing music, right?
Yeah.
And you're always going to lock heads.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I guess the other bonus in our band is that we all have Italian backgrounds.
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
So we can.
Oh, hotheads.
So, in a way, we can tell each other fuck off, and we are gonna come back to it even better than before.
Well, we're Aussie Italians, mate.
Yeah, you're Aussie Italian. I'm
Aussie
fresh off the
Italian.
boat, mate.
There's a lot of this.
Yeah,
there's
there's a lot. Yeah.
He's the
That's
real
right.
world bastard here, I tell you.
Yes, absolutely.
But you're right. You got four people that play a part in the band.
Yeah.
And to bring that all together, you're going to have conflict, or you're going to have arguments.
Yeah.
Meltdowns. But that's part of the process. And that's how we get good songs and the music.
Yeah, and is there? Do you find that there's usually one band member that plays like Switzerland, like mediator between like if there's resistance, or is it all just kind of like?
It's based on the situation, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the drummer that plays Switzerland. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's Sam. Sometimes it's Tony.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'm probably the one that breaks their balls the most.
Which is good because he's got a lot of enthusiasm. He's fresh. He's enjoying this. So he's a very excited little boy, right, in this band, right? So he's got a lot of energy to give, and we're just a little bit more laid back, right? But generally, he's a good. He does smooth out things when things get a bit hot, but I'm usually the mediator to make sure things don't get out of control. Especially with my brother, sometimes we really lock heads.
Yeah.
Which is okay, and it's forgotten next minute. And when we do, everybody stands, steps back and go, "Whoa, the volcano's ready to erupt." But
is he older or younger?
he's younger.
Oh, he's younger.
So my
So
brother-
the older brother comes in.
No, yeah, there's maybe a little bit of that, but my brother is is in another mindset. He's a tone head.
Right.
So a tone head is looking for that sound, that note that doesn't exist, right? And he's always searching, right? And he's a perfectionist. And sometimes you've got to sort of, break that down a bit and just, get out of those zones, and you've got to sometimes mix it up. So, yeah.
You're so right. I think it's good to have a perfectionist in the group, but then sometimes things are just so grey, and you need to slow it down a little bit.
I feel that our guitarist is the perfectionist for the instruments and for the sound. Meanwhile, I am the perfectionist for the song, because I will go on top of each individual in the room and say, can you play this in that way? Can you double hit the snare there? Can you play those notes on the bass in that moment? Or can you use that pedal in that moment? I'm a bit like that. And it's great because, once again, experienced guys can take it.
So the good thing about Dylan, we're street musicians. I've had lessons. We've taught ourselves, and we've had a lot of experience in playing with different musicians and bands. Where Dylan is actually an educated musician. He went to uni, right, and he has a good fundamental grip of music theory-wise. He can play drums. He can play guitar. He can play bass, and I'm sure he can play keyboards. And he's a great vocalist. So those contributions are great because he can fine-tune sometimes that little bit of a spot where we're not quite right in tone, or why don't we go to this note? And, so he contributes. So it's very good.
That's such an interesting dynamic now, because of you guys have the life experience of the music, whereas he's got the academic side of things, and he can you're both learning off each other
100%.
and coming together to create,
Because sometimes when I come up with something, I'll go to Dylan, what do you think? Is there another note there? And Dylan will come up, yes, try this. You go, yes, right? Sometimes there's something there, but it takes someone like Dylan that can actually...
The forensic analysis.
Yeah, he can actually visually hear it and see where it's got to go, and we have that communication connection, which is great.
Yeah, I think at some point I don't remember the name of the condition, but they told me that I've got a condition because when I when I listen to music, I see colors.
Not dandruff.
No, it's not dandruff. No, actually, no.
So when you listen, you see colors.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting.
I don't remember how it was
called.
called.
Tell me more about that.
Each song and each band, professional bands have a characteristic colors, especially albums. When I see an ensemble of songs put together into an album, say we're listening to, I don't know, Michael Jackson, I can really see that dark purple in Thriller, and it is projected towards the whole songs in slightly different shades. But it's still there. When I listen to Uppercut, to us, the ensemble, there is a crimson color throughout the whole songs.
I didn't know that.
That is fucking cool.
Yeah. Okay.
It's specifically
exclusive
crimson.
here. Crimson.
Yes. And
why?
Crimson.
Yes. There is some red, but it's not quite
Sam's happy
red.
about
I
that.
see red.
Yeah,
Sam's happy
you
about
see
that.
you see red.
I see fire. Blood.
Is it that aggressive?
It can be.
It can be aggressive, but there is some very, very low
Crimson's
ends.
very specific.
Yes. It's because of the low ends that Sam brings into it. It's some octaver effects or fuzz effects into the pedal. All of that brings that otherwise red into a different shade to me, which turns crimson.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, surprise, Sam.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that we're uncovering new bits of information here because
Actually, I'm learning off this too.
Yeah, it kind of
We're sort of
happens.
dissecting ourselves here. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Because before we started, so I mentioned I'm a photographer. Been doing photography for 12 years, and one of the I think one of the reasons why I've been so successful is because when I was younger, I was very emotional as a child, and I didn't really understand why. Only about probably 14 years ago, I worked it out, and it's because I can see people's auras, and I can, in my corporate work, I used the ability to like influence people and read the room and like things like that, which is then transposed over to my photography work, because you can imagine like a client or a model comes to a shoot and either they've had a bad day or something. It's my job as a photographer to try to alter that and change that in order to get the right vibe for the photos that we're trying to create.
Nice.
And so that's what I would do. And if you looked at a whole photo shoot of photos, and if the model or the client was having a bad day, you could see progressively how it gets better and better and better. And that's my technique.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I totally get the whole thing about seeing colors.
I'm glad you do. I feel like I was very sensitive when I was younger.
Yeah.
I guess the fact that my parents I never really seen my parents together. They broke up when I was 2 years old.
Right.
Um,
Sorry about that.
it's okay. To be honest, I have a good relationship with the both of them.
Okay.
I don't mind. I've met people that have close to no or non-relationship with one of their parents. I do have a relationship with both of them, so I'm I'm lucky that way.
Yeah, you are.
But it was something that, okay, it was normal. Like I grew up like that, so it was normal. But every now and again, it will hit me, and it will be like, why is it that way? And quite often for children, when a situation like that happens, they kind of bring it on themselves. Like, was this about me? Was this because of me? And from that experience, you come across more experiences that they affect you. You become the person you are. And that's probably why then I stopped doing soccer and I started doing music. I could project that sensitivity and those emotions into something. Meanwhile, when I used to play soccer, I would just grab people and punch them when they needed to be punched, which wasn't usually deemed to a red card.
Yeah, that's a red card.
Yeah,
and like
straight red
you're
card,
in the
yeah.
sin bin, right?
Out. And I was the goalkeeper, so
That's aggressive.
a little.
Yeah. Yeah, so my parents split up as well, but not till like kind of mid-teens, and there was
It's probably even worse.
yeah, and so my dad passed away 7 years ago, and when
Condolences.
yeah, that's all right. When he passed away, my mum told us something, and it kind of like just opened my eyes to like all of his behaviour, and I was like, well, that kind of explains everything. He didn't deal with his trauma, you know, and so he worked in the oil industry, and in the oil industry it was very like, you know, misogynistic and masculine and all of that, and like whenever you had emotions, like you just like you were like frowned upon or whatever. But he never like dealt with this trauma that occurred in his life, you know, as a result of, you know, moving around and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, like he was an eccentric character. I never really had a great relationship with him. So my mum and my sister were really strong role models for me growing up. And yeah, so that's kind of like with my photography focusing on boudoir and like I guess women photography, showing women a different side of themselves. I'm kind of like giving back to women, you know. And so yeah, so I think it is interesting, like when you find out new information about, you know, parents' relationships or like things that happened in the past, and you reflect on why or how. And I even, you know, growing up, I was even like, you know, like, why was he always so aggressive and disciplinary with us, and he abused us? And, you know, like, was it me? Like, you go through life and you go, was it me? Like, I don't know what was wrong with it. And I'll tell you off camera what happened, but it was kind of like, you know, yeah.
I feel like in your case, you might still get some kind of male role model. And I did too, because I used to see my father twice, at least twice a week. But I never really got a clear idea of what relationship model was, because I never really lived with people in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you know, relationships don't come with a manual.
and yeah, no, they don't. They don't. But generally, when we grow up with our parents, at least you have an idea of what it will look like.
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
Not necessarily.
I think you get conditioned to thinking you know what it looks like.
My parents, my dad came out here in 55
Yeah.
and married in 60. And he's 93 and my mum's 84.
Yeah.
And they should have been divorced. But they're still together. And growing up,
Oh shit! Hang on, that camera's just stopped. Let me start it again. It's the pitfalls of being a one man
Band, yeah.
that's all right.
I'm like, I need a support person with me, but you know, that all costs money.
The equipment you got is still sick. How do you live in your living room when you don't do podcasts?
When I don't do podcasts,
Yes.
I pack everything up and it just gets all pushed to the side.
Fair enough.
Sorry, you were
So
saying.
as I was saying, my parents are still together,
Yeah,
right?
but they
And-
shouldn't be.
They should have been, trust me. So you're talking about, you know,
God damn that camera.
what's happened?
Is it recording? All right, it's recording now. Sorry. So why shouldn't they be together? Because they just argue a lot?
Well, argued. It was during the 60s and 70s. It was hard times. you
Yeah.
know. My dad was just a factory worker. There was 4 of us. My mum would work night shifts, so to make sure that she would feed us, go to school, and she would sleep during the day. It was tough. It was tough for my mum, tough for my dad. They didn't have really time for us. I wasn't one that was taken to the school sports or this and that. No, or driven to school. We all had to fend for ourselves. So you grew up through these hardships, and you think, why was it like that? But as you get older, you reflect, well, that they were the times, and they used to argue, and really, if what my parents went through, if it happened today, they would have got divorced within seconds. But they have a different tolerance and a different they're loyal to each other, even though it's not great, but to the death. And I still see it to this day, and they still argue and they still niggle and they still dig at each other. But they love each other, right?
Yeah.
And when you grow up through that, it gets pretty confusing what love really is, and how parents work. Like you said, there's no manual. Every family's different. But, but what it does in your situation or yours and mine, it makes the person you are and the character that you grow into.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think acknowledging like your experiences and how they form the person that you are like is so important for you to then be able to be comfortable with who you are, you know, and not be so hard on yourself that, oh, it was because of me that my parents broke up, or it was because of me that a relationship broke down, or is, you know, like all this type of stuff.
Yep. Look, everybody takes it differently. Like I grew up, it was quite hard for me growing up because, you know, my parents were tough on me, right? But I don't go around, you know, I'm like this because, you know, this is what I had to go through as a kid. No, I look at it as a positive side. Yeah, it was hard, but it made me hard too, right? And it installs how you got to survive today, right? So I'm not one that reflects on, you know, I was brought up like this. No, I look at it in a positive way. And I look at them now, and you know what? You know, of course, they're still together and still family, but it was okay. It doesn't matter. You know, if my dad was hard on my mum, or my mum was, you know, hard on him, or we got abused, you know, like Italian families you would. If you had it, you know, you get the wooden stick out, bang, bang, or whatever. You know, we used to get it, right?
I think the wooden stick was all everywhere.
Yeah,
I got the
right.
wooden spoon, with my mum.
Yeah, the wooden spoon, whatever. But
Same.
but you know, but it was tough. Where today you can't even touch your kids, or you can't have that discipline. But they're different, the kids, right? I still respect my dad and my mum, but kids today, they disrespect them because they haven't imposed that.
They haven't gone through the abuse.
Well, a little abuse. Look, I don't.
Or they haven't imposed the discipline. Or
The discipline, that's the discipline.
Yeah.
I you know, I don't encourage it, but you know, I was pretty tough on my kids when they were growing up. But then I had to change because that was then. It's not working today because they have different information and stuff. You know, well, you know, if I grab my kid and give him a slap, you know, I'll report you to the police. You know, they'll turn around like that. If I said that to my dad, you give me another beating, right?
Harder than before.
Right, but you know.
Yeah,
they react differently.
I think the fact is that because there's more information available now on the effects of that type of stuff, which is why, you know, today, like, kids have more rights, and it's all about protection and stuff like that, which I agree with and I'm totally fine with. But I also think that there's a piece around how do we instill the right level of value system from a discipline point of view and from a principle point of view to ensure that, you know, that kids are doing the right thing.
100%.
You know, like what you said, like you still respect and value your parents, but then you just mentioned then that you know, kids these days would, you know, totally disrespect their parents.
100%.
Because they know that they can, because they know that their parents can't do anything. So it's kind of like swung completely the other way.
100%. And I said to my kids, that's okay, I'm going to give it to you again, and I'm going to take it to the police.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
But you got to get that balance. And my kids are great. It was challenging times as they grew up as teenagers. But again, it's a different mindset. And it's like you said, it's all that information out there. You know, they just seem to know everything.
Dylan, have you got kids?
No, I don't.
Not that you know of, anyway.
Not that I know of, definitely. But I don't think I have any, so it should be all right.
There'll be some Italian bambinos out there walking around
my
with no
fiance
hair.
will not love that if I do.
Oh, dear. Oh, shit. Sorry.
You're still a young chicken.
Congratulations. Is she Italian?
She's Greek.
Oh, shit. Isn't that like...
So you can imagine the house. How does it feel to be in the house? You know, for somebody that comes from outside, is like...
That's like oil and water, isn't it? Bro.
We love each other very much. We love each other very much.
In tune.
That's good.
Yes. Yeah. And to be fair, though, even though I don't have kids...
that you know of.
That I know of. That I educated myself... when I look back at when my mother used the wooden spoon on me, I even disrespected her more after that. Like, is this what you're gonna do? Well, okay, I'm gonna give it to you even worse next time. Yeah. I feel like things with her got better because I grew up with her. I didn't grow up with my father.
Yeah.
Things with her got better once we once she started really listening to me when I would talk to her, and because of that, I will be doing the same when she will talk to me. Sure, I will get a little bit more impatient because for me some things are, different generation. We know things differently, or if you talk to me about how to use a social media, I will be instantly short in patience because it's something that is so ingrained in my generation. But I will still put my effort, my best effort in it, of course. But I feel that maybe that discipline. I believe I got lots of discipline, but I don't think that I got it because my mom used the wooden spoon up until I was 7 years old.
Yeah, look,
Maybe.
Maybe no. And again, it's probably the right. You gotta find an alternative way to install discipline to people.
yeah.
And again, if it's not the wooden spoon, then what is that? And again, with my mother was
It's emotional blackmail. That's what it is.
maybe it was maybe more.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is worse.
I'm gonna take that away from you if you don't do this. I'm gonna do that if you don't do this. We're not gonna go anywhere if you don't do this. Blah blah blah. But the better communication that I had with my mom really, I think, and she gave me some freedoms. Like, okay, you wanna go out. You are 14. You wanna go to the town. Go. By midnight, be home. And I give you something. You give me something back.
Yeah.
And
The key there, I think, is communication.
yeah, very much so.
Understanding what the other person is expecting out of you and things like that.
Very much
And
so.
I think it is interesting, like when you grow up, the relationship that you have with your parents, and then when you become an adult, and then you foster a different style of relationship, and whether or not you can evolve and change and develop it, into all aspects of other relationships within your life, to then be able to, progress yourself as an individual in whatever you're trying to do, right?
Indeed.
And I think, I think bringing it back to the music and the band, it is so interesting now, the information that we've spoken about, and how it kind of brings all of these characteristics and these synergies together.
So, bringing all this to this point, for me to deal with what I was going through as a young kid and teenager, my escape was music, and that's what led me to music, to get me away from what was happening in my life as a young teenager, and that basically saved me because I could have gone down different paths, right? And it wasn't led by devices or computers; it was the street, and it was lucky that the school I went to, there was a music teacher that got us in. The kids were a bit troubled, and we learnt music, and we got into the school band, and then it opened up a whole new world for us. It was our escape. And to this day, still, music is part of me because of that, and it's just a way to express to how you want to feel, and to be creative, and to be connected with your inner self musically and artistically. So
it's nostalgic, right?
yeah. So that was my saviour, was about when I was about 13, was going to music classes at school. Otherwise, I don't know where it would ended up.
I can relate. Again, because of what I was saying about sensitivity before, doing music, making music, writing music, to me really helped. Even playing someone else's music, of course. And now with Uppercut, I even feel that when I am in a room with people that might come from a different generation, I think there's usually lots of conflicts between people coming from different generations because of how we grew up, where we grew up, and all of that. But when four people, even from different generations, are in a room and they're all focused in making something good, I think they can bring it to the next level. And that's something that Uppercut has, that
but we all come to the same level.
We do come from the
Yeah.
Doesn't
to
matter
the
the
same
age
level.
or-
Yes.
or experience.
We all have eyes on the goal, eyes on the prize, and we work towards it, and good things happen.
So, you were sensitive, I was probably angry, but music heals
It
that,
heals. Yeah.
and that's why you have different styles of music. You've got angry music, soft music, classical music. It's all from the character, from the person, from what they're experiencing. And why there's always a reason why people go to music, unless you were forced, right? And usually they don't play from the soul. When you find music because you're searching, it becomes part of you, and it's true. So it comes in different forms.
Well, there was a study that was done. I keep saying this example on my podcast, but there was a study that was done. I don't know who. I think it was Andrew Huberman, but he was saying that there's a section in the brain where it stores the memory of the music that you listened to when you were like 17.
Oh yeah.
And throughout your life, if you hear that same song, it brings back those memories and those emotions of what you were going through when you were 17.
100%. It takes you back into time.
Yeah.
And you get that sensation,
Yeah.
the smell, the sunshine. Oh yeah, 100%. And that's with any music, and that's the power of music.
Which then comes back to this piece around the frequency of the sounds that you are listening to, and that in actual fact we are all generators of energy and frequency, and when we listen to that music at that time, it like locks into our own frequency and we resonate with it.
100%. So, as a teenager or a young adult in the 70s and 80s or in the 90s, when you're going through changes and you're listening to a certain music, it brings you back to those years. And it's part of the healing and part of the process. And it's a good thing to go back there, because then you can reflect on that where you are today.
Is it a good thing? I don't want to remember those bad times. Keep those sad songs away from me.
It's the same as smell. You
Yeah.
smell something. There was a particular perfume that in the 90s that women were wearing.
Chanel.
No, I don't know what it was. I think it was opium or something.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
But it's
pungent.
I love it. But when I get that smell, it takes me back to 1990. I go,
Did you have dreadlocks back then?
I've had them for about 30 years or more.
Okay, so that's a yes.
Yeah, I was just starting to grow them back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's getting a bit grey now, a bit like a silver wolf now. But
Silver wolf. Usually it's a silver fox.
no, I'm not.
Silver
I'm an old
wolf.
He's a wolf.
I'm an old wolf that's been
I
around
can
the
see
block.
those canine teeth actually.
No
So
way.
you are a wolf.
I'm a silver wolf or silverback. But I had the dreads, I had the long, and but now it's changing again. As you change, also.
Evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But deep down, you're still that person, that kid. That I scare myself when I think of my age and what I'm doing and what I'm into and how I'm living. I still feel like I'm 35. Right, but it's those good things that keep you there, But if a person's not happy with themselves or not happy with what they're doing, it reflects on the way they look and their age. Yeah, it's important to be in tune with life and what you want, and it comes back to you in a different way. So I feel great.
Age is just a number, Sam.
It's just a number, mate.
Yeah, it's how you feel.
I'll let you know when I get there.
Yeah, I know people, half my age and they're finished, But and I'm going to keep doing this for ages, and I'm going to keep working for ages, and I'm going to keep doing what I do. It's my interests and stuff.
By the way, he looks better now than when he was 40. I'm telling you that.
What
I
happened?
saw some photos of when he was 40. I don't know what happened. He just seems to get better with age.
I don't know. It's like a bottle of wine, I suppose. But the key for me is, like I had open heart surgery about 7-8 years ago. I probably shouldn't have been here today, right? But And I've never been a sporty person.
Yeah.
Always into music, cars, just living life. So when that happened, not that it was an eye opener, I got interested. I should do some more fitness stuff, and I got into boxing. So I've been boxing for about 10 years, and I do like 5-6 days a week, and that's really probably the key how I feel and look today. Not just music, but health is the key to life, because you have nothing if you haven't got good health. And
Keeping active and finding something that you enjoy.
Yeah, so, and, you know, for me with the boxing, it's been a godsend, because it really keeps me in tune physically, mentally, health-wise, you know, yeah, it's just great. So
Shit, I was going to ask you, should we put the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul?
I think it's all scripted, but I'm sure we'll get all the footage.
Yeah, I'm sure we will as well.
I was thinking about that too. I was thinking,
I was like going to have it. I have it on in the background, but I thought, oh nah, it might
I've been
distract
following
us.
it. I go,
Yeah.
oh, it sounds like the wrestling here, you know, when they all hammer it
But
all up.
wrestling, you know what it is. You know that it's, you know,
Yeah.
the gladiators of modern days.
Yeah. I think you're right though. Like actually, so not only having like a creative outlet, but also just keeping your health in check and doing something for your own fitness, kind of keeps you active enough so that you can continue doing what you need to do. You know,
100%.
yeah. I've been going to the gym for like since I was like 17. But just recently gone back to doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, good.
And I thought that it was going to play havoc on my back, my lower back issues. But in actual fact, it's actually done a lot of good because you spend a lot of time on your back. So I've got like a, what's it called?
Herniated disc.
Yeah, a herniated disc. And then I've got tilted hips, and I was like, oh man, like I just don't want to feel that pain. But in actual fact, like if I go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu twice a week, I feel fantastic because I'm on my back all the time, and you know my fingers hurt, so I have to learn how to tape them up. But like it's just this ability to like be part of a community and like do something, and everyone's really helpful and no one's about injuring each other or anything like that, you know, and just being fit and
100%. Very important to be associated with those people. Like at our boxing gym, you know, I help the young kids, help them train.
Yeah.
Like I do, you know, a lot of training sessions there. And again, I had sore back before I went, and by doing core work, it fixed my back, you know. So again, it does fix things. And if you have certain, if you have certain issues, you manage it, right? You know, but people say, how come you got no pain? Because my whole body's painful, so I don't feel anything. It's all one thing.
it's mind over matter, right?
So
it's mind over matter.
Indeed.
I'm like, you know, if you think about your ailments, they'll get worse. If you don't think about them, you won't worry about it.
So, you know, cardio, fitness, core, very important. Core is probably the most essential part of any fitness, because if you've got core, you've got grounding, you've got strength, you've got, you just, it controls the body.
You got the uppercut for the rest
And
of the day.
uppercut didn't come from the boxing, but you know, I did want it to be related to the boxing, but like the song "Uppercut" is not
Maybe-
even about
maybe-
boxing. What's the song about? Tell them what the song's
Maybe
about.
take your headphones off.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, just
It's all right.
Uppercut, the song, the single that we released 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He showed me the instrumental when before I joined, and it really just gave me a rock and roll vibe, to be fair.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I started writing, and initially I didn't even know where I was going. And by the end of it, and singing that song, I just go, oh, this is my fiance. This is certainly her. Because I can relate that animosity. She's a very fiery woman, and I am as fiery and feisty as she is. So our conversations might start with the purpose of let's have a conversation, discuss about this and that, and then we will end up saying, yeah, fuck you back, I love you too. Okay, good. So the song Uppercut really just goes talking about this person that kicks, punches, screams,
Yeah.
like an Amazon, but then you love her. She became your girl.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's what you need.
That's so cool.
So it's not about boxing.
No, it isn't
So,
at
and
all.
and the other thing is, okay, we got this Uppercut name. How are we going to perceive ourselves as a band Uppercut? So we come up with the idea.
How did you come up with Uppercut though?
It's an upper.
I don't know. Just Uppercut. I felt it's a simple term, word.
yeah.
People can relate to it,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's catchy. People can remember it,
Yeah.
you know. So, but it has a lot of different meanings, Uppercut. But,
So is that the camera?
yeah.
So uppercut is this, is not this. All right.
But how we said, okay, how are we going to look like on stage? So what we said, okay, anything we have upper, we cut.
Yeah.
So when you have a look at our video, our t-shirts are cut, the collars are cut.
Yeah.
So that's part of our image is the way we present ourselves. We have a certain uppercut. You know, the tops might be cut here. So that's our uppercut. So it doesn't have anything to do with boxing, but people probably do relate it to boxing, which is fine too. But also uppercut is, okay, it's power. It's a power of rock.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
uppercut.
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
so we call them, you know, people who are following now, we call them uppercutters.
Indeed.
Yeah, so
People that follow us
Your
on social
groupies.
media,
yeah,
they are.
Your
so,
groupies.
okay, uppercutters. This is our next song.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I've been.
So it's just got a ring to it.
Yeah.
And it's working.
I mean, for the podcast, I can't really call them unbuttoners.
So
I love that.
That's kind of a little bit weird. It's like too many syllables.
so during that process, we'll throwing ideas, and one idea we come up with, we all should wear suits, and we should cut the ties here, cut the sleeves off, and cut them about here. You know, but it was a bit corny, but. You know, but it's sort of morphed to what we how we look now. You know?
Yeah.
And usually the clothing is white related.
Yeah.
So we all sort of connect together, but differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
branding is so important.
Very important branding. And, you know, over the years of me being in a lot of bands and how it's changed over the years, how you put yourself out there. Today now it's all about branding and social media before the music.
Yeah.
So you've got to have that product in line and then the music and then comes everything, then comes gigs and then comes maybe interest. But you don't have it in place, no one even cares about you. So it's the actual reverse. So in the old days, you know, you got a band, we need a manager. Managers aren't interested today. They want to see the music in place, or your social media platforms in place.
They want
right?
to know how
and
many
then
followers
we can manage
you've
you.
got, and yeah.
You know, so the whole process has changed, and this is how we've approached Uppercut. We're really being vigilant about that. So, you know, we've got a social media guy helping us out. We've got a PR person. We've got, you know, a lot of people backing us up, which is very important.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. What advice would you give a group that are just starting off? Like, what advice would you tell them?
The advice I will tell them
Go
is
get a real job because it's going to cost you money.
Wow!
Yeah, that.
Only continue if you really fucking love it.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it, because we love it.
Yeah.
And really gotta ask yourself who you are and who you want to be, because
But I don't know who I want to be.
okay,
Dylan?
try something.
Try?
You wanna be a guy in flip flop and shorts on stage, singing about the joint that you had the other day.
Yeah.
Great, love it. Okay, I'm sure that'll sell to someone.
Okay.
You want to be the guy that is into fitness and heavy music? Cool.
I wanna
have a
be-
band that is called Uppercut.
I want to be like you.
Well, yeah, there's role models for a lot of up and coming musicians,
Yeah.
right? But they've got to understand that it's a tough world out there,
Yeah.
and you have to be really passionate if you want to pursue that road, right?
And-
if you want to make money, forget about it. You know, that comes last.
And if
I think that's so true. It does come last.
and to be fair, if someone tells me I want to be like you, I'll tell them, please find a better role model. The point is that you wanna aim as high as possible, as high as you possibly can.
But that-
Because if you come short, you still got somewhere. If you want to be like me, then your aim is not that high. I want you to really look up to the stars and go, yeah, him. Okay.
Pavarotti.
Yeah, Pavarotti, yeah. Okay, great.
Mm.
I come a little bit short, Pavarotti. I'm still going to be happy with myself.
I do like what you said though about just trying lots of different things. So if I relate that to like my photography work, like I would get amateur photographers saying, "Hey, I want to like shoot like you, or I want to like be as successful as you," and yada yada yada. And all I would say to them is, pick your camera up and take photos every single day. You got to get the reps in. If you get the reps in, you can gain the experience.
That's it.
And if you get the reps in, you can work out what your style is. If you get the reps in, you can work out the direction that you want to go. And then you just finesse and you finesse and you finesse and finesse. The problem with today is that because there's so many options and so many variations to everything, it's harder for people to decide what they want to do and how they want to go down.
There's too much options.
Yeah, and so if you flip that on its head, having the options is good because then you can try lots of different things, but then you have to make a decision and go, that's the pathway I want to go down, and then you double down on that and you just keep going down.
And it's hard to find your own identity when you have
Yeah.
so many options.
It is
'cause
hard.
Personally, I love all sorts of styles. I might go back home now in my car and put a Bonnie M CD in my car. First of
still-
all, who's
you-
got CDs? Yeah, that's
You
right.
still have the CDs in your car?
Yep. Yep.
I
Shit.
got a tape recorder in my car.
Hey!
He came in
yeah.
on a hot road, mate.
Yeah, you drive a Camaro
Cars,
or a Charger.
yeah, cars and rock and roll, they
Yeah.
go together.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But then, I might love different styles of music, but I really gotta have to look in the mirror and say, who am I?
Yeah.
What do I want?
Yeah.
What do I want to reflect to other people? And this is it.
Which comes down to like this piece around legacy. What legacy do you want to leave in people's minds?
Interesting question. I always thought that by the end of my music career, I would be remembered. I will be remembered for the good things that I've done in music and for the emotions that people will relate, they will have once they listen to my music.
Mm.
And this is the legacy I want to leave behind. I want people to go, damn, but that song, man, that was so good. And this is what it's all about, really.
Yeah. I always live by the principle of people will always remember you based on the way you made them feel. And so if I can make sure that whenever people come to me, they have a good time, we're laughing, we learn something, and the output is amazing, then they will basically talk about me behind my back and it'll all be a great experience. With my photography side of things, I don't do any marketing because the work speaks for itself.
100%.
And like they will go and talk to their friends and they'll be like, oh, I had this amazing shoot, yada, yada, yada. And, oh my God, look at these photos. And the next thing you know, I've got like 10 inquiries the next day,
And that's
That's
how
it.
good business works.
That's exactly how good business works. But then also from a branding point of view, I know that I have a particular personality where I'm not afraid to like put myself out there, like on camera, and like actually be an idiot, like because I can laugh at myself, and
There's a line you got to draw.
Yeah.
And in relations to music, the music is got to do the work,
Yeah.
not the bullshit behind it.
Yeah.
So you got to keep a balance of that. You're only as good as your last photo shoot or job, right? And that's what's going to get you the referrals or
Yeah.
the attention.
Exactly.
So you have to, but like we were saying before, you got to hone into something and you got to put the time, the hours, and to make it yours at its best, right? And that goes with music, your work, your art, whatever it is. So that is the key. It's not, advertising the yellow pages on social media. It's you, yourself, what you're giving, that 100% and that quality or that point of difference is what people will pick up on, and then I'll say, well, check out this guy's stuff, or have listened to this, or look at this guy's work, right? That's how you get people's attention.
I think that's it. That is definitely an important part, particularly with music. The music will speak for itself, and if you can invoke emotion in the people listening or watching to your video clips or whatever, then that's how you get like the fans and the followers and the people that come and buy your songs or CDs or
100%.
merch or come to your acts,
It's like your photography. They see your work. They see your style. Same thing. Like I'm an artist and I do decorative finishes, and I get my work through my work and through my reputation.
So say that again. What do you do?
I'm an artisan.
Ah.
So what I do is I specialise in artistic applications and paint finishes.
Ah.
Yeah. So again, it's like music. Music is art. It's colour.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I do. And that's why it goes hand in hand. For me, art, music, and cars is my life. And of course, boxing. The healthy side. So
At what point does the wife and the kids come into it?
I was
they're
about
all
to
in
say the same
between.
thing.
No, they're all there. You got to make
They're
time.
all there?
You got to make time for the kids and family and lots of things. It's not about finding a time. You have to make the time for all the different things. People say, "How do you do it? Where do you find the time?" I go, "I don't find the time. I make the time for each thing, and you just got to get the right balance."
People would always say to me, "How do you find so much time to do all the things that you do?" And I'm like, I don't know. We all have the same number of hours in the day.
Yeah, I know.
But it depends what you do.
You could pick and choose what you want to do. It's all about prioritization.
Correct.
You
So
know?
we haven't got a TV in the house, and we threw the TV out 25 years ago. My kids have grown without TV. Right?
Wow.
So how much time do you save during an evening or a day or a week by sitting down in front of a TV? So what do you do with that time? You put it into different things.
Yeah.
I batch cook for the couple on the weekend. So I spend 2 hours and a half, and I cook for the whole week for me and my partner. And then she washes the dishes. And we get lots of time during the week because we don't have to go through that trouble on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Depending what you do.
Depends
Yeah.
what you do.
So I moved to Melbourne in 2001, and
Where are you from? Where did you come from?
from Perth.
Oh, Perth.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That other side of the world.
Yeah. Anyway,
I've never been to Perth.
You've never been to Perth?
No.
Don't worry about it.
That's what a lot of people tell me.
It's the most isolated city in the world.
It was during COVID too.
Yeah, and it's the second windiest.
Is that?
Yeah, Chicago takes number one for wind. But anyway, so when I moved here, I spent 2 weeks at my best mate's house.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting a job in banking and finance, and then I I stayed at a rental in St Kilda, and the guy that I stayed with, he didn't have a TV because his ex had taken the TV.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was a little bit strange, and he had this bookshelf that was like floor to ceiling books, and he was a lecturer at RMIT for human biology, and his party trick was that you could take a book from any shelf and either give him the title, the author, or the first couple of sentences in the book, and he would tell you the others.
Yeah.
And he had like a photographic memory,
Wow.
right? And I was like, and whenever my mates would come to the house, like I would do that with him, and it was so funny. And So we lived for a whole year without a TV. It was the first time that I did it, and we just did other things.
You find time to do
You
stuff.
find times to do other things.
I've done that for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So you came to Melbourne. How good is Melbourne?
Well, look, it took my best mate 6 months to convince me to come over. I met him in Perth, and then he's from Bendigo.
Yeah.
But he was like, the girls are better here. You need to come here. Blah blah blah.
Priorities.
I
huh?
don't know about that, but anyway.
So I came, but like I've been here for 24 years now.
Melbourne's the best.
So I'm not going anywhere.
Melbourne's the best in Australia. I love Melbourne.
Yeah.
I don't live in Melbourne. I live it. I've been born in Melbourne, and I think Melbourne has just everything that you need.
It
I've
does,
travelled,
other than the
and
weather.
you come back to Melbourne. Oh, look, the weather, you deal with it, but
Yeah.
I like it. Like the
Yeah.
other day, we had about 4 different things happening in one day, right? Sunshine, there's rain, heat, and then back to cold. But Melbourne's a melting pot of everything. You know, because of all the immigration we've had here and how we've all integrated. And it's just a world-class city, I reckon.
This goddamn camera keeps stopping recording.
Why did you come to Melbourne?
Because I always wanted to come to Australia, but now we say it with
Yeah, I'm going to ask you the question.
Yeah, why'd you come to Melbourne?
Yeah, what did you come to Melbourne for?
Wasn't for the woman.
no, it wasn't for the
You
women.
met her after.
Indeed. I always wanted to come to Australia. My father was born in Australia, but then he moved to Italy when he was 7 years old, right? Because of that, I was born in Italy. And growing up, there was always that lingering idea, go to Australia is a better place, you've got better opportunities. And I was like, what if? Okay, what if? Finished high school, I hopped on into the airplane with no more than 1,100 euros. I stayed at my uncle's for 2 months
In Wagga?
in Melbourne.
Ouch.
Ouch. No, in Melbourne. And then I found some share houses. It started with 6 people in there, then it turned into 3, then it turned into 2, then you stay, you leave it, you buy your house, you feel the city is your house.
Yeah.
And this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
I've been to Sydney, I've been to Queensland, most of the states in Australia. Melbourne's the place to be in Australia.
Yeah, look, I was 9 years in Perth and it wasn't that great. But Melbourne's, and so I've lived in Southeast Asia. So my mum's Indonesian. We lived in Indonesia, Brunei, and Singapore.
Okay.
And so Melbourne's been the longest time that I've been in the one place.
There's reasons for that.
Yeah. I just feel like it's got everything. Like I've over the last couple of years, I've toured with my photography to other states within Australia, like for photo shoots and stuff. Melbourne's just got it all.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Easy to get around. You go to Sydney, it's a chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos. You go to Melbourne, you can get to St Kilda, you can get to Fitzroy from here or South Melbourne or out of suburbs. There's a bit more traffic these days, but it's still, you can get around.
Yeah, it happens.
And every area has its character.
Yeah.
No, Melbourne's the best. Be happy with Melbourne.
So 3 weeks ago, you came out with a new EP, new song,
New single.
new single. Sorry, musicians call it all
I
lots
know.
of different
I don't
things.
know if it's single because it's not a single. To me, a single is a 7-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
So that's bullshit. Fucking bullshit, mate.
Mate,
Fucking single.
Yeah, mate.
We released a fucking song.
you were
That's what we
raised
fucking
you
done.
were raised in the Jurassic era.
right.
Now I'm telling
It's
you
a
how
fucking
things are.
song
All right.
we released on fucking social media that is nothing. It's just fucking in the sky or fucking cloud, whatever the fuck it is. All right? It's
But
not
we-
a fucking single.
We released the one song, okay?
We released a song.
You
It hasn't
happy?
got an A, it hasn't got a B.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we released a song.
So you released a song. What are your plans? Obviously, this year's almost over, but what are your plans for
We're going to release
next?
another one at the end of this month.
At the end of this month? That's
Yeah,
great.
and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. Because we find to release an album, people aren't into albums; they're into songs.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's exactly
we're just
right.
going to stage it, and then we'll go from there.
That's because people's attention spans are a lot shorter.
It's
now.
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So we released our first song and video.
And I want people to crave it. I want people to wait for the next one.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it all at once. And then
Yeah.
what?
And then next year, will you tour? Or are you
Next
thinking
year,
about
we already
performing
have-
We're already
somewhere?
starting to book from February.
Yes.
Yeah. Already,
Oh,
we've
that's
got bookings
great.
already.
That's
yeah.
great.
Yes, they will come public.
Yeah.
But there are things
We've got
in the
still-
pot
put it
already.
in place. But
Exclusive.
we're gonna debut in February, our first gig.
That's
so that's very
right.
important.
But stay
Wow.
tuned. Follow
Yeah,
us on
yeah.
Instagram and Facebook if you want to know
Yeah.
where and when.
Yeah.
Will it be here in Melbourne?
Melbourne. We're not going anywhere outside Melbourne. I've already told them. Oh, what about country? Fuck the country.
Wagga.
We're gonna fucking do here first. Then we can go wherever else. We've got to make our bones here in Melbourne.
Well, maybe I should do like a backstage interview thing.
Yeah. We'll get
Yes.
you involved. Yeah, we've got a good venue organised
Okay.
to be announced. But yeah, we're going to start doing. Once we do our debut gig, then we have a series of gigs following. But we're not gonna do it. We're going to keep it. Just. One here, one there until
Yeah.
we feel it. We're not
Yeah.
going to just go gig and take anything on. They've got to be
Yeah.
right for us.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's not going to be just a yes to
Yeah, just
every
do it,
venue that
yeah.
asks.
Yeah. So that will be happening 100%. And we'll still be releasing music during that course. So we'll be releasing music this year and into next year.
Yeah.
Mm.
There will be single launches. There will be...
No singles, mate.
Sure. There will be shows that will introduce new songs.
Yes.
Right? And we're going to perform so that people actually remember the experience. We're not going to perform because we want to have a gig.
Yeah.
The gig, you can keep it for someone else, not for Uppercut. We're going to do the show that is right fit for us.
What does that mean?
We already know how it's going to look like. We already have a picture in our head of how this whole thing will look like with the
Okay.
crowds and with us on stage.
Right.
We need our space. We need the right vibe.
Yeah.
We need a situation where we're not going to be in a tight room and in a 2x2 stage where none of these things can happen. We're gonna give something fun for the people to go and watch and listen once they come and pay the ticket to go and see us live. It's gonna be worth it.
There's lots of gigs out there, and lots of people, come and play our venue. But you got to pick the right venues. We got caught in other bands in that trap, and a band's bottomed out. Can you fill in? We're not going to be that sort of band where we'll just do gigs. They've got to be planned. And we've got to pick the right areas too, like, in the east, the west. So we want to spread ourselves out. We don't want to do gigs all in the one same area.
Indeed.
So that's very specific. So we're not going to just jump on anything like a lot of bands do. And the other thing too, we're just developing our stage performance.
Yeah, stage presence.
Yeah, as far as how we're going to stage that over the course of the set. And the other thing that I said to the guys, which doesn't happen as much today, is the lighting. These days you get a band, a few lights on, or it works on a sensor, flick. But to create theatre and depth on the stage performance, you got to have a person behind the lights, bringing in the lights in at the right point to create that whole
100%.
ambience.
100%. It definitely adds a element to the whole experience of the performance, right?
Yeah, so very important. So we've got to look at those things and explore how we can achieve that, because over the years, that's all sort of, it's not important anymore. You just got a sound guy that does 4 or 5 bands in one night. Yeah. You want to have your own sound guy that knows your music. So we've got to have those important parts in place too.
Indeed.
And that's part of our performance and our visual look. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at.
Well, it all sounds so amazing. You got some great things coming up.
Have you heard the song?
I have heard the song.
Was it catchy enough?
Yes, it was catchy.
Good,
Very catchy.
Of course, it was catchy.
good.
We know that.
So we're set to release another one at the end of this month.
Okay.
So, stay tuned on all our platforms and you'll see up and coming things coming,
Yeah,
with our
fantastic.
music, our videos and live performance to be announced. Yeah.
Soon coming. Just follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. How can people contact you?
Uppercut Band on Facebook.
Uppercut Band.
on the gram on Instagram and Threads and X.
Nice. I'll have that come up.
So during this whole thing, it's not just the band, but we've also had important people behind us too. So Scream Louder Productions, which is Reggie Bowman, he's been our engineer and producer for the songs that we've done in his studio, and he was in a band called Southern Sons, which was a big Aussie band about 25 years ago, which is touring now, and he's a master when it comes to engineering and mixing. So, we got to give him credit too for our sound, and also he helped with our videos. And then you have Laneway Music, who believes in our music, who have signed us up, who are a label that put music out on musical platforms, on stream, and they've been pushing us too. So, it's not just us, you've got to have the right people behind us too.
Yeah, 100%.
In pushing what we're doing. Yeah, so I've got to give them credit too. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be what we're doing now.
And it's so good to see that you're leveraging like other specialists like in the industry to kind of help you do that.
Well, you can't do it all because a lot of bands, they're artists, they're musicians. They can't manage everything or do everything. So it's very difficult. And over the years, that's what I found. And I said, if we're going to do this, we've got to have people on a full-time basis doing it for us, helping us.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are the musicians. We're
We're
not
the
here
musi-
to waste
yeah.
time on.
Because you're not going to get my
all other
brother doing it,
things.
right? You're not going to get our drummer doing it. I do certain business type things. Dylan's very good in managing all that side of it, but then you got to let those people do the work.
Exactly.
We can't do it all,
Exactly.
And it seems to be working, and we can see the results.
Well, I can't wait to hear the next song that comes out at the end of the month, and then the next one next month, and then to see the dates for your performances. I want to thank you both for coming on the podcast. And,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
You've got a great thing going here.
Yeah,
All the
thank
best
you.
to you.
Thank
All
you
right?
so much. Make sure you hit subscribe, that notification bell, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one.
See ya.